Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of GamerVision. I am just one of your hosts, Jeff, and we've got Tony. Yeah, over here, I
Yes,
think.
yes, that is
All right,
correct. That
perfect.
is correct. How are you doing, Jeff?
That I'm doing pretty good. That's if you know, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. I was going to finally get it at one point. Just took like 8 episodes,
That's
8 or 9 episodes.
that's not bad.
But
That's not bad.
how about those video games? That's it's a small, a little, yeah, small market. I have no idea just how high up I need to go with that, but a little small market of just around $65 billion in the United
That's
States
all.
alone. And
That's like 20 minutes of work for Jeff Bezos. So
yeah, and he generates that, and he's not even on the planet anymore.
that's
Like
true.
I have no idea if he's like where he's at, but he's somewhere. Um, but video games are much more than just video games these days.
That is true.
So, at my wonderful segues, we will be talking about media tie-ins with video games, and you actually posed the question of what our favorite,
Hmm.
uh, tie-ins would be with video games. And at first, I was like, I don't know what to talk about in regards to that. Um, and then I realized that almost everything that I enjoy video game wise
Yeah.
has something somewhere else.
Yeah, I think when I posed the question to you, you said I pretty much only know about Final Fantasy, and then I started putting stuff down on a list, and you're like, "Oh,
Like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
there's a
oh
lot of
yeah, that.
stuff."
Oh yeah, the Tomb Raider, of course. Yeah, Tomb Raider. Oh, The Witcher. Oh,
Sonic the
okay.
Hedgehog has a movie
Yeah, which
and multiple TV
great.
shows.
Yeah, great movie. The TV shows. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've seen them,
I will
and I
say Sonic Boom is a fantastic TV show if you have not watched that.
well, I will have to. I'll have to give it a chance. I know that there's not a lot of like there's it's weird. Sonic has such a huge fan
Yeah,
base, but it seems like it's a fan base that is always disappointed in almost everything that
that's
that
true.
Sonic does.
That's true.
It just it amazes me. I don't know, like if I was with Sega, I would be super confused as to what to do with that. And I mean, it seems like they are super confused as to what
There's
to
a
do with that.
reason we
But
have something called the Sonic cycle.
yeah, so but for the most part, uh, Sonic, Pokemon, which again, when we started talking about tie-ins, I was like, oh yeah, there's also there's like the live action Detective Pikachu that came out, just like what, a year or two ago,
It was 2 or 3
wasn't it?
years ago at this point, I think.
Man, time flies.
So yeah,
And,
it's been longer than you probably think it has been.
but as we were looking at the stuff, and your wonderful list, which then opened my eyes to a bunch of things where I'm like, oh yeah, I completely, for whatever reason, just didn't think of or notice, or like, of course, like video games have moved into almost to the level of books.
Yeah,
Like so many TV shows and movies and games were based on books, and now it seems like we're starting to reach that point where there's more and more
yeah,
video games that are being adapted into other media.
yeah. There's no such thing anymore as like a single media thing. You're not going to get a
Yeah.
TV show only or a movie only or a video game only. You're going to have all of those. Like the biggest video game franchises have multiple different types of tie-ins, whether it is novelizations or YouTube, Netflix movies, what have you. It's just if you can't make a huge franchise out of it, the big names are probably not going to be doing it.
Yeah. And just based on my own experience, we're gonna talk about our favorites. And for me, pretty much the majority of that comes from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like I love the games. The movies are not great, but they're decent, except for the Spirits Within. The Spirits Within, I like it on like a technical level. Um, as far as like an enjoyment level, no.
Yeah.
But they've done TV shows, and I could not do this episode without mentioning I want to go to one of those orchestra,
Oh yeah,
the the Nobuo Uematsu orchestras
yeah,
that they do for the Final Fantasy music. Like that would be so amazing to go to.
yeah. The Zelda one that toured the country for a while. I really wish I could have made it to that one, but never got a
And,
chance. I think the closest it got to us was Dallas, and I wasn't going to drive 4 hours. So
but
I have to say that the whole reason that I posed this question to you to talk about video game, multimedia stuff was surprisingly there's a franchise that I don't think you'd ever think of. That I'm like, you know what? This is the reason I want to talk about this, and the
all right,
reason
well,
is Balan Wonderworld.
oh well, I mean, yeah, yeah, okay. Uh,
And here's why:
I would. I'm surprised. I'm blown away by that.
the game, it's not great. Like like there are parts of it. I haven't played it, but I've watched some playthroughs of it. There's some parts of it that look really interesting, and I see the core of what could have been a really good game if they had made some different decisions around the mechanics of that game. Um, the problem
Yeah.
was they wanted to tell the story without telling the story. Basically, they wanted it to be through the gameplay and for you to get the idea of what was going on. And that opening cutscene, I don't know if you played the demo or anything like that. That opening cutscene is gorgeous. Like it is one of the
Yes.
prettiest
Yes.
cutscenes I think I've seen in a video game in a very long time. And then
Phenomenal.
I saw people talking about after that you don't see anything like that for the rest of the game. But they also, at the time the game was released a novelization of the game. It's sort of a
Obviously,
prequel to the game. And that novelization, telling the story of that game, is really, really good.
we may have talked about it in regards like Destiny, but essentially, whenever you're playing a game, if you've got to leave the game to learn more about the game or the characters of the game or the story of the game, you're kind of doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And the
Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more of that going
yeah,
forward. Like this Balan Wonderworld thing, I call it the best. What did I call it? The best novel of a bad video game because it does a fantastic job of introducing you to these characters who are incredibly well designed. Like the character models, the design of the characters, the design of the world, everything about that game is so good, and it's just let down by a bad game. Um,
yeah.
but I'm also currently reading the Gears 5 prequel novel. So, uh, we're seeing a lot more of that. You have to, if you want to get the full story, you have to do things outside of the game. And
Yeah.
with stuff like this, like the Gears 5 novel, it is very much a prequel. It takes place before the events of Gears 5. It introduces you to those characters, which the game also, has done because most of those characters are long running characters who've been in the franchise from the beginning or were introduced in Gears 4, like Kate. I think Gears 4 was the first game that she was
Yeah.
in, and she
Yeah.
becomes the focus of the novel as well as Gears 5. And then to go along with that, we just on Saturday nights before the podcast have started playing the Gears 5 DLC called Hivebuster. There's also a comic tie-in with that takes place before the events of the Gears 5 DLC, and I'm reading that at the same time I'm playing through the game and seeing the characters both on screen and on the page has been a really interesting contrast in getting the full story of Gears 5.
My gripes leveled at like Destiny is like they don't really do a good job inside the game. At least from like it's been a couple expansions ago since I
Yeah.
played it, but like they don't really explain things too well inside of the game. So then you end up having to like go to a website or go do XYZ to find out more about things. And like Horizon, I didn't realize Horizon Zero Dawn actually has a comic series that I didn't even realize that there was. But uh, but yeah, like it gaming is getting to that like infomercial portion where it's like, but wait, there's more. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the bigger franchises, Gears of War, Halo has tons of novels out there.
Yes, and movie or yeah, like the like movies and stuff that they've done. And
Yeah, yeah. And so, do you know what started off the whole thing, though? Do you know what the first, at least that I've seen, the very first video game movie?
I mean, does this have something to do with Mario?
It does. It was the Super Mario Brothers movie back in
Uh,
1993. Was the first one that I can see that was the first movie based off of a video game, and we know how well that
uh,
went.
yeah,
It's amazing any video game after that ever got a movie.
I mean, it's very true. Um, but it just we talk about just how careful Nintendo is with their properties nowadays.
It's because
I
of
re
that.
I really wonder if it's because they were like, well, you see what happened the last time we had some non-Nintendo people work with our stuff. We're not doing that again.
Nintendo has
That
so many franchises that are perfect bases for like anime, a
yeah,
multi, maybe not a multi-season anime, but an anime. Fire Emblem, for example, would
yes,
make
like
an
I
incredible anime.
I would love to see that. Like, and Fire Emblem was always really strong in Japan, and it picked up over here around like Awakening or maybe like Sacred Stones. Uh, but yeah, like it has definitely ramped up to more of like a global name, and like Three Houses was just
Yeah,
phenomenal. The voice acting, the characters, so many personalities, and that really started making me think that this could be a show.
yeah.
Like it ties into war, it ties into the character development. Like this could be something that could be like a few seasons long. Um,
Hmm.
I'm a fan of Star Fox. I would like to see something with Star Fox.
A
Like
Star
I
Fox,
think
like a
that
Star Fox movie, could be really good.
I think that would be fun. I mean, it would probably just be a retelling of what they've been doing
I mean, that's
since
okay.
the 90s, but it'd be fun. It'd be fun
Give
to
us a
see.
Lilat Wars trilogy and let us have fun. I mean,
Like, uh,
So, but
like,
then there are franchises that you wouldn't expect that have tie-ins, like Need for Speed. There's a Need for Speed movie. How
yeah,
do you make a movie off of a racing game? Well, it's basically just the Fast and the Furious, but
yeah,
uh, with
yeah,
with
and
Ferraris instead of import. I was gonna say with import cars, but Ferraris would be import cars here. Um, so,
yeah. I mean, that's like Rampage
mhm,
when Rampage with the Rock. When I saw that, I was like, wasn't that a video game? I
it
didn't see the
was.
movie, but I was like, wasn't that a video game? And if I remember correctly, they're like destroying buildings and fighting big monsters. I don't really know how that could be a movie, but like I said, I didn't see the movie, so no
Battleship
spoilers.
has a movie.
Yeah,
There's a Battleship movie.
yeah, true.
There's a
That
Frogger TV show coming next month. Have you seen the trailer for this?
I have not,
It
but
it
I'm not surprised.
it looks amazing. Like it, I'm actually kind of excited for Frogger. It's Wipeout is all it is. If you know that TV show,
Yeah,
it's Wipeout with a highway theme instead of giant red inflatable balls. That's all it is. The thing that got me from Nintendo that got me was before the release of Kid Icarus, all of those anime shorts that they released. Did you see
yeah,
those? Those were
yeah.
phenomenal, and
Like
I want all of them to be their own separate little shows.
that's like there's so many things that can tie in. Well, going into the episode, like tie in with video games, like God of War's got
Hmm.
some novels. They've been doing an orchestra thing with God of War as well. Like companies are realizing, hey, there's a lot of money just sitting out there. We can do more than just make a video game.
Yeah,
Um, like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, whenever a movie or TV show was being created based on a video game, you almost could guarantee it was not going to be good.
the Legend of
Um,
Zelda cartoon is a perfect example of that. Like I love that
again,
cartoon, but it is an awful cartoon.
again, it goes back to Nintendo. At one point in time, they were okay with people working with their stuff.
So,
Unfortunately, people ruined that.
well, what are some of your favorite movie tie-in pieces of media? You know, you've
So,
already mentioned
you
Final
know,
Fantasy.
like Final Fantasy, to the side, I pretty much slap Final Fantasy on it, and I'll find some way to enjoy it and slash buy it. Um, Outside of that, there's been some surprises that were that not only was I surprised that they existed, but also like I was surprised that they were decent. Like there's a Dragon Quest anime that I started watching, and it's Dragon Quest. It's a little weird and not
Don't start saying
quite,
bad stuff about Dragon Quest now. I will
it's
come through the camera.
well,
Are you
it's
talking about the Adventures of Dai?
yes.
Okay, yeah, that's on Hulu.
And for the most part, like it's not, it really isn't. It doesn't seem like it's targeted to an older audience, which is fine.
Hmm.
But like I'm enjoying it. Um, I found out about the Wild Arms anime that came out in the 90s, which again surprised me, and just weirdly enough, it like at least I like it. I don't know what the general internet consensus is out there, whether or not it is good by other people's standards, but as far as my standards, which I don't know if I really have standards, seems good. Um, but it seems like the dialogue is more mature
Hmm.
than what I remember from the games. So I think that's kind of another like surprising, like, okay, it's something different. The Witcher completely blew me away.
Oh, that's
Like
so good,
Netflix,
so good.
I'm eagerly excited for the second season. Um, I
Uh,
cannot wait to see what they do with it. I hope they don't ruin it. I just
there,
hope they don't ruin it.
The Witcher's anime movie just released yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to watch it.
It's good. It has its moments.
Okay.
It's definitely like there's things where I'm like, what? But like overall, I enjoyed it. The animation style for like the fight scenes,
Hmm.
incredible. Like some of the best animations that I've seen as far as like any type of like fighting thing going on. Um, but yeah, like Castlevania, that was another surprising one for
Yeah,
me as far as like I didn't really know what they could do story wise, um, but I was blown away by it.
I
Like
think
that was
that TV show I think was a retelling of Castlevania 3, right?
well,
It's
uh,
it's
well,
telling the story before and during the events of I think Castlevania 3.
and that's kind of one thing is like I probably going to be put on a stake for this, but I never really actually played very many of the Castlevania games. So like
Yeah.
going into the shows, I'm like just everything just seems just amazing. Just everything's just like everything's a surprise. Like everything's a mystery. Like
Yeah.
things are happening. I'm like, oh, this is what? Why is that going? And so
If you want to play some good Castlevania games, go back to the GBA, the DS era. That's probably the sweet spot for those Castlevania games. Don't go back to the NES. Those are
well,
not good. I mean, they were good at the time. There was some of them were good, but yeah, they
so
definitely got better around the GBA and the DS era. Just real quick, I want to mention two that I really like, and
oh okay.
that is the first Mortal Kombat movie, guilty pleasure thing. I absolutely
Uh,
love that movie. Uh, it's not a great movie, but it is one of those that I will sit down and watch all the time. I love it. Um,
Mortal Kombat.
and then going back to Dragon Quest, The Adventures of Dai is good, but they Netflix has a telling of Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride. There's an anime movie of that on
Oh
Netflix
yes.
that is really good. It's Dragon Quest Your Story. Ending gets a little weird. I don't know if you've seen it. The ending is really weird. They could have just chopped off the last 5 minutes of the movie and it would have been amazing. But but
Completely forgot that I watched that. But yes, I watched it and I loved it.
I actually went back and watched that today before the show.
The ending is very weird because it's like, then what was the purpose of the entire
Yeah,
every?
nothing before the ending mattered at all, basically.
Yeah.
Um, but what would I want to see? Okay. There's obvious answers. Obviously, Mario would make a properly done Mario TV show would be really good. A properly done Zelda TV show would be amazing. hear me out. I know this sounds weird. It's going to be
Okay. Okay.
strange, and it's people are going to think, well, it's just your reason for being able to mention this game again. Uh, Drill Dozer.
I knew it. Like
Drill Dozer.
I had a feeling, and I was keeping it to myself because I was like,
I came up with this
maybe.
on the spot right before the show. I was thinking about what show would what game would I really? I mean, there are other way better choices. I give you that
Oh.
100%. But a Drill Dozer show done as like a CG animated show aimed towards kids, young teenagers, whatever, in the style of something like Carmen Sandiego, where
Okay.
they're traveling around the world. There are criminals that have stolen, important jewels, whether it's set in the real world or not, who cares? You could create important artifacts in a Drill Dozer world that the bad guys are stealing, and Jill has to go in with her, awesome drill mech and retrieve them and bring them back and give them back to their proper owner. A Drill Dozer TV show, if done right, could be really fun.
Well, I mean, like I said, I knew, but that's
I have to go with the off the wall
um,
choice.
the video game that I would like to see more adaptations with, and in fact, I would just like to see just come back in some form or fashion, hopefully with a decent budget, is the Legend of Dragoon, like bringing the characters back, Dart and Rose and Kongol, just being like so. I
Yeah,
would love to see a TV show, a movie, manga, like anime, just remake
yeah.
something, just something for the Legend of Dragoon.
My much better, makes way more sense choice would be Smash Brothers. Um,
I
do
mean, the star power.
do the subspace emissary plot line from Smash Brothers on Wii, Brawl. Um, just make an anime
Yeah.
of that. Just make an animated show of that. That would be great. That's what I want to see. That is my real, not Drill Dozer answer. Before we go, I'll also say anything made by Uwe Boll, awful.
That's well, didn't mean to snap there, but that's the name I was trying.
Uwe,
Like
Uwe
I got
Boll makes awful video game movies and has the record for the biggest video game tie-in flop of all time with Postal. He had a $15 million budget for that movie, and it made less than $150,000 at the box office. Uh,
I I got caught up earlier in the episode. I will clip that part out, but I will probably keep this part in where I'm explaining it. But earlier in the episode, I remembered the guy's name and then I forgot the guy's name as I was about to say it, and then so there was just silence for like 10 to 15 seconds where I'm like, this guy, he did the Blood
Blood
Rain
Rain. Yeah,
movie. He did the so anyway, I'll probably keep this explanation in there. I'll just cut the wasted time out.
there you go.
But yes, Uwe Boll, whatever. But yeah, this is this 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 was supposed to be a light episode, but
Well, the
I
subject matter was light. The episode itself, not so much.
that's when it's getting into fandoms and getting into media tie-ins and me realizing that, oh my gosh, there's so much more than I thought there was. Thanks, lists. Um, yes, I am Jeff from
And
Just One More Level,
I'm Tony from Procedurally Generated.
and we'll see you hopefully more composed with the next episode of GamerVision.